Hello students, today I am going to show you the very important feature of thorax, that is lung. I always tell the students not to come without learning lungs and hearts during your Videography examination. And also in theory examination, many questions may be from the gross part or applied part. The questions comes from lung and heart both. And during Videography and practical examination, alternate students are asked either lung or heart. The lung looks grey in color and also glistening. The glistening is due to the covering of the visceral layer of the pleura, and this visceral layer also invades the fissures also insides. So first of all, I will show you the lung, its general features, how to hold the lung, how to determine the height of the lung, and what are the general parts of the lung which usually asked. Suppose this is one lung, examiner told you to pick up the lung, any one of the lungs. Then the examiner will ask you, hold it in anatomical position. Before holding, you have to know which one is anterior side, which one is posterior, which one lateral, which one medial, and which one the upper and which one lower. That things you must know in your mind so that you can hold the lungs in anatomical position. Then you have to determine the height of the lung also. If you see closely, this is one of the borders of the lung, and this is very sharp compared to this one, which is round. So anterior border should be sharp and posterior border it is round. This rounded border, it is on the paravertebral gutter. Suppose I am keeping the two lungs side by side, and in between this posteriorly there is a vertebral column, this one, and on each side of the vertebral column there is a depression called paravertebral gutter. This rounded border, this one, it is actually resting on this paravertebral gutter. Because of this reason, this posterior border becomes rounded. On the lateral and medially there should be one hilum. This part is called the hilum of the lung, through which some structures passing in and coming out. That hilum should be faced medially. So now we know the medial side, lateral side, and anterior side and posterior side. And upper and lower, known by the upper part, it is called the apex, narrower, but the lower part, it is broad and is concave. It is one surface called the base of the lung. So base downward, apex upward. Now we know all the 6 dimensions: anterior, posterior, lateral, medial, lower, upper. So you have to hold the lung in this way. So this is the right lung. This anterior border will face not directly anteriorly or not directly medially, mostly anteriorly, but to some extent medially, and apex upwards. So this is the right lung. Similarly, the left lung, this is anterior sharp border, this is posterior round border, medially hilum, and upper part is the apex, narrow part, and lower part is the base. So you have to hold the left lung by your left hand in this way, so that the anterior border looks anteriorly and to some extent medially, like this. So I am holding both the lungs, and in between these two lungs there will be heart. So this heart, it is sandwiched like this between the two lungs. So the heart, by its position, it is in the middle mediastinum. So this heart, it is in contact with both the right lung and left lung, and creating impression on both the lungs. But in one lung it will be shallower and one lung will be deeper. I will show you why it is deeper, why it is shallower. Before that, you must know the presenting parts. First part was anatomical position. Second part is the parts of the lung. There are 3 borders. This is anterior border. I told you already, starting from the apex up to the inferior border. This border is the inferior border. This border. It is also sharp border, inferior border. And this is posterior border, which is broad. Now, how many surfaces are there? There are three surfaces. One, the broad surface, which is convex. This surface called costal surface, because there are so many impressions of the ribs. Where ribs are present, that area will be depressed, and in between the ribs, the area will be to some extent elevated. So you will get on the surface some elevation and depressions. The depressions for the impression of the ribs and the elevations for the intercostal spaces. The question may come to you, how many ribs are in contact with the lungs? Mostly on the mid-clavicular line here, there 6 ribs comes in contact. And the axillary line, there are 8 ribs come in contact. And posteriorly, there are 10 ribs come in contact. So 6, 8 and 10 ribs come in contact with the costal surface of the lung. And another most important surface is the medial surface, where you will get the hilum. And in front of the hilum, this part of the medial surface called mediastinal surface, and part behind this hilum is called the vertebral part of the medial surface. So medial surface, two parts, in front of hilum, mediastinal part, behind the hilum is called the vertebral part. And inferiorly, another surface is there. This surface is called the base or diaphragmatic surface, because the lung rests on the diaphragm. So you can hold the lung in this way also, by your palm of the hand. If this lung belongs to left side, you have to hold by your left hand. Why this base of the right lung and left lung, they differ in the depth. If you see the base of both the lungs, right lung to some extent deeper in compared to the left lung, because below this base there is a diaphragm, and below diaphragm is the right lobe of the liver, which is larger than the left lobe. So due to this larger size of the right lobe of the liver, the base or the diaphragmatic surface, it becomes deeper, but it becomes broader. In height, it is less than the left one, about 2.5 cm less in height, the right lung, in compared to the left lung, because of this fact. But in the left lung, there is a diaphragm, and below diaphragm you will get the left of the liver and the stomach and the spleen. So this one surface, this one second, and this one third surface. And this one also called the base, and this is the apex. So now you know the 3 surfaces and 3 borders. The examiner will ask you what are the structures passing through the hilum and what are the structures coming out of the hilum. Right lung and left lung, in both the lungs, you will get the hilum. The structures are more or less same, excepting one extra bronchus will be there on the right lung. That is called the epithelial bronchus. But in the left lung and right lung, in both the lungs, you will get the hypertelial bronchus. Besides this, other openings for the pulmonary artery and 2 pulmonary vein, one superior and one inferior, and here also one superior, one inferior. I already posted one video on the hilum and root of the lung. If you listen to that particular video, it will be clear to you what is hilum and what is root of the lung and how they differ from one from the other, and what are the structures they are passing through the hilum. But this part, this is rounded posterior border, but this part, it is in contact with the sides of the body of the vertebra, thoracic vertebra. This one also. For this reason, this part is called the vertebral part of the medial surface. On the medial surface, the most important part is the hilum, I told you, and second important part is the cardiac impression. this depression for the heart. Here heart is there. So heart, you know, 2/3 of the heart is on the left side. So heart is pushing the lung toward left side, more on the left side. Due to this, the depression or the cardiac impression on the left side of the lung is more deeper than the right sided cardiac impression. This one and this one. And heart is there. Suppose my hand is the heart and here is the anterior thoracic wall. Ribs are there. So due to contraction of the heart always pumping. Due to this pumping action, always this border becomes sandwiched between the pumping heart and the anterior thoracic wall. Due to this continuous stretching or pumping of the heart, this border becomes thinned out. This is the reason why the anterior border is thinner than the posterior border. Anterior border, it is sandwiched between the heart and thoracic wall, and posterior border, it is on the paravertebral garter, which is a depressed area on each side of the vertebral column. And similar thing also here. If you are asked to differentiate the right lung from the left lung, is the cardiac impression will be one of the points to differentiate. I will tell you at the end what are the points to differentiate right lung from the left lung. Now I am just showing the different areas or different impressions on the lung. Then what are the important impressions on the lung? You know, this is the ribs, this is the diaphragm, and what are the on the medial side? On the medial side, some relations related to the apex. What is apex? Usually the students answer that the part of the lung above the first rib is the apex. And if these two fingers, it looks like a rib, first rib, like this, first rib, they hold like this. So teachers usually ask, you use your fingers and imagine it is the rib and you hold the lung. You have to hold the lung in such a way so that the apex, it crosses the inner border of the first rib near its anterior side. That means inner border of the first costal cartilage. Inside here, above. How much above? About 3 to 4 centimeter above the inner border. This is the inner border of the first rib. So if the ribs, in this relation, this part is about 3 to 4 centimeter above the inner border of the first rib. But posteriorly, it is the neck of the rib. The apex is at the level of the neck. It is not crossing over the neck. If you hold like this, is a wrong position. In this case, the whole of the apex is above the first rib. Like this. But it is not like that. It will be the above and it will be below. That means this is the actual position. Can you follow? Behind, you just observe behind, in the region of the neck is at the level of the apex. It is not crossing above the neck, but anteriorly it is above the first rib. That is very important. So when the visceral pleura, it deflects and from the parietal pleura, the part which covers the apex called cervical pleura, this is called costal pleura, this is called diaphragmatic pleura, and this is called mediastinal pleura. In the apex, anteriorly, laterally and posteriorly, the relations of the different structures are more or less similar both on the right side and left side. But on the medial side, the relation will differ. You know, the arch of the aorta which arises from the heart, this arch of the aorta arises from the heart, and there are 3 branches from the arch. Brachiocephalic trunk, left concavidate and left subclavian. So brachiocephalic trunk on the right side, left subclavian on the left side, and left concavidate is ascending upwards. So if I keep this heart here like this, this brachiocephalic trunk will come in contact with the right lung, and the left subclavian artery will come in contact with the left lung. So brachiocephalic trunk right side, subclavian artery left side. And one by one I will show you the different impression of right lung and left lung. This is right lung, you know. So this is impression for the heart, so cardiac impression. And you know, in the heart there are 4 chambers. right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle. This area, it is in contact with the right atrium and right ventricle. And right atrium, it receives the infravena cava from lower side and superior vena cava from the upper side. So if this is the heart, if this is the heart, so superior vena cava should be here, just above the right atrium. And superior vena cava is formed by two brachiocephalic veins, one right and one left. So right brachiocephalic vein will be here, and left will come from the left side. We will join the right brachiocephalic vein to form the superior vena cava. Then the vena cava will open the right atrium of the heart, which is causing an impression on this surface of the lung. And on the superior vena cava, one important vein it ends, that is called the azygous vein. So above the hilum, you will get one curved impression called arch of the azygous vein will be here. And this azygous vein is coming from lower side behind the hilum, then arching over the hilum and ends in the superior vena cava. So here you will get the impression for the heart, impression for superior vena cava, and towards the apex, impression for the brachiocephalic trunk and impression for the brachiocephalic vein. And posteriorly, azygous vein, and above the hilum is the arch of the azygous vein. And below the impression, lower side, another vein is there, that is called inferior vena cava or vena caval impression. That is for inferior vena cava, this is for superior vena cava. Now, if you are asked, what are the structures related to the medial surface of the right lung close to its apex? It will be the brachiocephalic vein, which will continue as superior vena cava, then brachiocephalic trunk, branch of the arch of the aorta, and behind it, trachea is there, on the right edge of trachea. So this is the trachea. The trachea, it is the midline structure, but close to the apex is slightly deviated to the right side, because the arch of the aorta, when it ascends upwards, it presses the trachea to some extent right side. So it forms an impression on the apex of the lung. So the right border of the trachea will be in contact with the apex of the right lung. So anterior to posterior, brachiocephalic vein, brachiocephalic trunk, and then the trachea. These three will be on the right sided relations of the apex. Similarly, I will show you the relation on the left side. On the left side, I told you already, of these three branches, the left subclavian artery, this one, the branch from the arch of the aorta. So arch of the aorta is here. So the arch of the aorta, it will form an impression here. That impression called for the impression of the arch of the aorta above the hilum. Then the arch, it continues at the descending thoracic aorta, this one. So here this groove is for the descending aorta. So descending aorta, arch of the aorta. On the right side, arch of azygous vein and azygous vein. And this is the cardiac impression. So above the cardiac impression, here will be an impression for the pulmonary trunk. And on the medial surface of the apex, on the right side, it has right brachiocephalic vein. On the left side, left brachiocephalic vein. On the right side, brachiocephalic trunk. On the left side, left subclavian artery. Here is the trachea, T. Here is another T, that is thoracic duct. But only one structure may be in touch with the left lung, that is the left edge of the esophagus. Because esophagus, when coming downwards, at the upper side, just right till to the left side, then again right, then again left. So on two times, esophagus will be there on the left side, and one here, one below, and the right side, only one impression in the middle. So esophagus impression or esophageal impression will be on the apex, posterior part, and will be on the posterior part of behind the hilum. And right lung also behind the hilum, in the more or less in the middle part. Two times left side, one time right side. Only the side will touch, not the esophagus as a whole. Only this left margin and right margin, like this. So anterior to posterior, the structures are brachiocephalic vein, then left subclavian artery, then esophagus and thoracic duct. And anteriorly, if you see the rib, Here is the impression for the subclavian vein, then subclavian artery on the upper surface of the first rib, and this subclavian artery branch of artery aorta, they are going like this, then over the first rib. So here is the vein, here is the subclavian artery. In between these two is the scalene tubercle, and laterally here there is one muscle, that is scalenus medius. This scalenus anterior, scalenus medius. So this muscle will be related on the lateral side of the apex, and when you come to the posterior side is the neck of the first rib. So this neck of the first rib related to some important structures. This is very commonly asked. When you are asked to hold the rib, first rib, most of examiners, they ask what are the structures related to the neck of the first rib, and the structures are from middle to lateral: sympathetic trunk, first posterior intercostal vein, superior intercostal artery, and ascending branch of anterior ramus of first thoracic nerve. So two nerves on each side, and in between one vein and one artery. That means behind the apex of the lung, right lung and left lung, you will get all these four structures. And the apex is very important. Short note, maybe come in the examination, may come, because the apex, it is covered by cervical pleura, which is a part of the parietal pleura. Instead of that, in addition to that, this apex, this pleura, it is strengthened by another fascial membrane called suprapleural membrane. And this membrane, it is attached along the inner side of the first rib, and the upper end or posterior end to transverse process of cervical 7 vertebra. A suprapleural membrane coming like this, like this. If it is the first rib, this is the suprapleural membrane, it goes like this. So this posterior attachment is the transverse process of 7 cervical vertebra, and this is the anterior attachment along the inner border of the first rib and first costal cartilage. It is suprapleural membrane or Simpson's fascia. There are so many views on its composition. It is mainly a fascial part, and some scaleless minimus muscle may contribute to be a part of this Simpson's fascia or suprapleural membrane. So what you have seen? You have seen on the right side mainly the impressions for the veins, mostly, and on the left lung mostly the impression for the arteries. Here the arteries are, again I am telling you, this is the arch of the aorta, then descending aorta, both are arteries. Then one is the left subclavian artery, is the artery. Here is the pulmonary trunk, again pulmonary artery. Here azygous vein, one vein, then arch of the azygous vein, then superior vena cava, then brachiocephalic vein, then infravena cava. So most of the structures, they are veins, excepting one or two arteries. Here brachiocephalic trunk, here left subclavian artery also there, but brachiocephalic vein also there. If you are asked how to differentiate right lung and left lung, there are so many points, by weight, by size, so many things are there. But quickly to identify, just you see how many fissures are there and how many lobes are there. Here you can see there are two fissures, one horizontal fissure, one oblique fissure, and three lobes, upper, middle and lower lobes. So that lung should be the right lung. Two fissures and three lobes. And on the left side, you can see only one fissure is there, that is oblique fissure. No transverse fissure or no horizontal fissure. Upper lobe and lower lobe. No middle lobe like there are the right lung. So two fissure, three lobe, one fissure, two lobe. Besides this is the cardiac impression, which is more deep, it is shallow. Diaphragmatic impression, it is shallow, it is deep. And another important point is that anterior border of the right lung and left lung, there is some difference. On the left lung, on the anterior border, there is a notch. You know the notch? This notch is called the cardiac notch. This notch is not present on the right lung. Below the notch, there is a projection. That is called lingula. So this notch and lingula, they are specific for the left lung. So, two fissures, three lobes, one fissure, two lobe. Shallow cardiac impression, deep cardiac impression. Deep diaphragmatic surface, shallow diaphragmatic surface. No anteroborder, no cardiac notch, no lingula, cardiac notch and lingula. And lastly, the structures throughout passing through the hilum. One bronchus is more, there are two bronchus, as is one bronchus. Here the differences between the right lung and left lung. So this is all for the general features of the right lung and left lung, and how to differentiate the right lung and left lung, and how to hold them in anatomical position. Once again I am showing you how to hold them. If you are asked to hold both the lungs, you hold it like this, and if you are asked to hold any one lung, you can hold like this, or also you can keep the base of the lung on your left hand if it is a left sided lung, or base of the right lung on your right sided palm like this. So that's all. Thank you very much. If you like this video, please click on the like button and share it to your friends, and of course subscribe it. Thank you very much.